So what's up with the Kyoto Protocol? This international environment treaty was originally created to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from industrialized countries in order to slow global warming. The question, though, is just how effective has this agreement been? Originally, 40 industrialized nations signed this treaty and committed to decreasing their greenhouse gases. So how are these nations doing with meeting their targets? 16 nations are on target to meet their obligations. Some of these countries are France, Greece, and the United Kingdom. 20 countries are off course with their obligations, and if they do not fulfill them, they must pay a penalty. Canada has dropped out of the Kyoto Protocol completely because there is no possible way of reaching their target emission levels, which would result in $14 billion in penalties. Out of the 196 countries in the world, only 40 of them are legally responsible for meeting their emission targets. Did you know that China and India are not a part of those 40 countries? China is the most polluted country in the world. How has this happened, you may be wondering? Well, one of the biggest factors is globalization. China's high economic growth rate has been a huge contribution to pollution, with many Western companies going over to China to have their products manufactured for rock-bottom prices compared to having them made in Western countries. The World Bank found that 20 of the world's 30 most polluted cities are in China. It was also found that only 1% of the air in China's cities would be safe by the European Union standards. By now, you are probably asking yourself why the biggest polluter in the world is not held accountable in an international environment treaty put forth by the United Nations. Well, China is a developing nation. Therefore, they did not have to sign the agreement. All developing nations are categorized into one group, and it is thought that they may not have the technology or financial power to reduce their emissions like developed countries. In the end, when you look at the Kyoto Protocol, it has not achieved a 5% reduction in greenhouse gases worldwide. However, what the Kyoto Protocol has done is establish the founding blocks for future environment treaties that will hold all the countries in the world accountable for the pollution that they have created. In the future, globalization will play an even larger role, since each day the world's nations become more interdependent on one another.